There's a lot of analogies to hybrid cloud. People ask, like,
Yep.
is it cloud all the time or not? And one is to your own car. So if you think about it, your car is super expensive, say
Yeah.
$50,000 for a car. And like me, my car is sitting in the garage unused most days, and maybe I go on a 20-minute ride. So clearly, having a ride share where a car just arrives, takes me somewhere, and drops me off is much more efficient for me. But if you're a taxi driver and you're driving all day, then ride sharing your car, renting it, is expensive. So that's a use case for owning it. So there's certainly media workflows that Joe just elucidated that should not be in the cloud. They're much more efficient being in your own data center, and they're typically going to run constantly. They're a baseline load.
Yep.
But as soon as you have variability or have peakiness or sparse consumption of an asset or a resource, that's where you want to move to cloud-based utility.
Then I think you can even go more in detail, because we also see use cases that even functionality within the platform are split. Hey, for example, if you have live channels, this is quite static. You don't get extra channels every year or every day. So this is typically then deployed on-prem. But for example, like VOD streaming or VOD packaging or server-side ad insertion, there are services that are way more peak events or and so on. And these functions are then in these cases deployed in a cloud, that you have a kind of hybrid setup. So sometimes it's even within the same platform that functionalities are split between on-prem and cloud.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we see that a lot. What can we repatriate? What makes sense to repatriate? What should stay in the cloud?
Correct. Yeah.
Always slicing little pieces out and trying to figure out where we get the most efficiency. But yeah, it's becoming very hybrid now. Very hybrid.
The cloud's also
indeed,
really good place to experiment with new technology.
Yes.
Because you don't know if you want to spend the money on buying it. But in the cloud, you can go rent it, try it out. What's the latest? Maybe decide, oh, that speech to text works. This one's terrible. This AI agent is awful. But you can. The cloud gives you immediate access to new tech in a much lower barrier than if you had to fully invest in everything, try it out, decide you don't like it, and then try to sell it.
Yeah, it's great for development too. We use it a lot as a sort of a dev place where all of our developers can have their own machines and all this stuff. Because again, when you're developing that application for the first time in a data center, you can't buy, or you don't want to buy, a bunch of hardware and punch holes in your data center and give all these developers access while they sort of build out these solutions. So we use the cloud a lot for, hey, let's stand up the architecture up here and make it work in the cloud, and then we can port it to sort of more a production data center environment. So the cloud's fantastic for development, for research, for figuring things out. We use it a lot for that.
Yeah, amazing. So Joe, you're in a interesting position, because I think it's fair to say, you are largely acting as an integrator. Is that
sure? Yeah.
Sort of how you would characterize? I know, and again, when you say I'm an integrator, that can mean so many different things.
Yeah, right? For sure. Absolutely.
So there's a question here behind this, but just to make sure I'm framing it correctly. So, you are partnering with your customers, with these large studios, to deploy technologies, build platforms, even operate platforms. We went through a time where, just out of and Will, you're in from the very beginning of, you've been involved in the industry and building technologies, and everything had to be built. I mean, there just really weren't that many commercial solutions, and the commercial solutions weren't maybe mature enough. So a lot of organizations build on open source projects, and then came kind of the early deployments of the cloud and the SaaS platforms. And I'm thinking even of like the OVPs, if we remember those online video platforms. We can all think of some of the OGs who, sadly, some of those companies have come and gone, even. But, so then everybody thought, oh, I don't want to build anything, and I certainly don't want to operate it, so I'm going to go to an OVP. And an OVP was valuable for a season, and then we went through kind of another migration where then the commercial solutions got more mature, and people kind of went, wait, I kind of want to choose the best encoders, but then I want to, maybe I want to develop my own packager, but I want to have, this other component that And so the point in that story, in this preamble, is that we've gone through this very interesting journey of how workflows are built, what they consist of, what the legacy is.